back to the trees.
We're going to devote our energies to sports and gardening, all the cultural pursuits as far as they're concerned. In fact, we're going to put the goons to sleep. Meanwhile, we dig.
Here we go again.
Greetings and welcome to the Anadrome. This is Burn Power coming to you from Tbilisi, Georgia, as the sun is setting on a pretty wonderful summer day. Not too hot, bit of breeze in the air. What more can a person like me ask for? Well, I just got back from seeing 28 years later, the sequel to director Danny Boyle and Alex Garland's original 28 Days Later, which then had a follow-up 28 Weeks Later, which they were not involved with, but now they are back for this one. And I think if a person is just expecting some sort of direct continuation, but 28 years later, on those, you're going to be a bit surprised. Before we get into this, let me just remind you, hey, I need subscribers. I'm getting more subscribers. We're building up the numbers here. That's good. Here's what I'm not getting. I'm not getting any support. And here's what I'd like to remind you of. Where's that one? Because I live in this weird country of Georgia, not to be confused with the U.S. state, my banking situation is really strange, and so I can't monetize my channel. But, as I've looked at it and I've watched how much monetization just really interrupts videos, I'm kind of glad that I can't. But what that does mean is I put all this work, not just here, but I've got several other channels. I put all this work and get very little out of it. Although people are very generous and do provide, and I've had a couple of sessions over the years where I've raised money for projects and people have been very generous. And I think it's because they know they can't really contribute and YouTube doesn't do anything for me, and I certainly don't have any sponsors, and I'm not sure I want any. It'd have to be some pretty good sponsors. I'd never do the supplements route and that sort of thing. So if you would like to contribute, I've got two things to say. One, there's a PayPal link down below. Feel free, if you give $25 or more and you write the word book, I will indeed send you a copy of my 3 motions puppet plays that I wrote. Kind of odd, quirky thing, but definitely a souvenir of the channel. And secondly, within a week, I am starting a Patreon page. It's all set up. It's actually active now. I just haven't told anyone. I've got the page set up. I've got an introductory video up there. And I'm thinking about how I'm doing it. But mostly I haven't set up the financials yet. So we'll get there. Anyway, enough of that. Let's talk about life and death and blood and zombies or not zombies, infected rage monkeys. What an interesting film. And I'm still trying to decide what I think about it. I've just got back from it. It takes me a while to talk about films. I'm obviously not going to give too much away because here's the main point. If you like the other films, if you like horror films in general, if you like films that make you think, go see 28 Years Later. So obviously I've got a more than slightly positive review. At the same time, I would say if you're expecting it to be a direct continuation of the other two, you're going to be not mistaken. It certainly has elements, but you'll be surprised. And whether that's pleasantly or not is kind of up to your expectations. Essentially what this does is it dives much more into the lore of this post-apocalyptic world. And there's a lot of it now. There are creatures of different, these virus-infected people have mutated into some other things. There's even a hint that maybe they're reproducing. Yeah, crazy stuff. And some of them are huge and bloated. Others are normal size. And then there's some that are really tall. Very strange. Not only that, there is a group that's on, there are a couple of islands in the UK that have causeways going out to them. A causeway is like a dirt or gravel road that, or even a regular road that goes off to this island, but for 2 times a day during the high tide disappears under the water. And they make very effective use of this as a device for tension and action. That alone, just one of the runs across the causeway was quite worth the price of admission for this. I was starting to say, what are you doing? You're going to make it. The community that is on this island, it feels in some ways like kind of like a Mad Max scenario, although not nearly as primitive in terms of, it's like society hasn't broken down to that degree. And one of the things I found fascinating was that the music that they were singing was much closer to what my own research indicates would actually happen. One, they don't have a lot of electricity, so electric instruments are out. And I think that would be the future in such a case. 2, it's a mixture of older songs that people remember, folk songs, and a few pop songs that managed to get through for one reason or another. So in other words, the great chunk of all of this recorded pop music is going to be siphoned off because it just won't last. So much of it is just commercial slop. But there is an interesting... there was one scene where they were playing a couple of songs, kind of congratulating someone for doing something, and I thought that was very well done musically. The music itself is very interesting. There was one cut that was just pulse-pounding and accompanied with shrieks and screams the whole time. That caught my ear as a musical thing because you don't find music like that. It's almost like if you took the kind of chic shrieks. If you took these kind of screams from like garage rock or certain kinds of metal songs or grunge songs, just the screams, and put them to some kind of pulse-pounding music that it's pretty effective. I will say this. It got my blood boiling. This film has some intense imagery, very intense imagery. Just on imagery alone, I found it fascinating. I found it, just as far as what actually happens. If I was going to rate this film, it is rated R, but I'd give it what we used to call in the 1970s a hard R. A hard R has lots of extra stuff. It doesn't quite go over the line into what used to be the X-rated category would now be I just saw The Ugly Stepsister, and I went and looked at the rating for that and was not rated. Because I think if it was rated, it's definitely not an R. But this film was pushing the line. And if you like intense, disturbing imagery in your horror films, this is for you. Also, there are very good jobs of acting. The young boy, whose name escapes me at the moment, but I'll put it right here, a young actor, I've never seen him in anything before, did an excellent job. I wouldn't call this a hero's journey because he doesn't become a hero in the end. Nevertheless, Aaron Taylor Johnson, playing his father, does an excellent job. Also, Jodie Comer, one of my favorite actresses of recent ilk, is great as a mother who is going in and out of alternate personalities and such. Ralph Fiennes shows up in the most bizarre kind of way, and he brings something to the film that wasn't even dreamt of as you're going into the film. A sense of, shall we call it, lamentation. Very fascinating. So acting-wise, great stuff. It's all set in a Scottish island, so everyone's speaking some sort of, with a Scottish brogue. Now, I'm sitting in Tbilisi. There were no subtitles. And I'm sitting there wondering if the people behind me, whose first language is not English, could actually understand what was being said. It's just a thought. They certainly got the point, though, because the film works through its visual imagery. I think there are some things in it that, philosophically, there are some questions I have. It ends on a very strange note because it is the first of at least 2 parts. And they've already shot the other film. It's listed in Wikipedia. The second film is coming, and it will also have Cillian Murphy back playing the same role he played in the first film. Obviously older and hopefully wiser. So, but this film ends on a very strange note with a strange group of people. I will not talk much about them here, but it does make me curious about the next film. There is a comic character in the middle of this film from Sweden who shows up. Evidently, in this world, England is isolated with this rage virus, and the rest of the world is getting along fairly well. And what's fascinating to me is this guy from Sweden who's dropped in. I won't go through all the details of why, but anyway, he's got a cell phone that's losing power, and he shows this boy and his mother what his girlfriend looks like. And everyone in the audience is laughing. And I don't think they're laughing because it's so funny. They're laughing because it's nervous. This is what people are doing to themselves. And it shows this. You've seen these people who are just natural human beings living in a natural setting without a lot of amenities. And not a lot of makeup, not a lot of, no one's taking selfies anymore. But he shows a picture of this woman who is a blonde who has engorged lips and, just the most false, post-Kardashian face you could imagine. It was brilliant. And we need more of that stuff because I'm walking around Tbilisi here and I'm seeing more and more people, young women who have these bee-stung lips, who have these duck lips, who have these freshly done balloon-inflated lips. And it's just frightening. So I was glad to see a bit of that there. We really need to push back on that kind of stuff. We need to just simply be humans and not cyborgs. Okay, so you get the point. This isn't a film for everyone. This is a film for people who want to do 3 things at once. Go to an interesting summer movie. Watch a horror film that's connected to another film, but you really don't need to have seen the first couple of films to see this. Anybody can go see this and want to think through the use of images and story concepts and such. Is it a perfect film? No. Is it consistent all the way through? No. But it is definitely worth seeing. So, this is Byrne in Tbilisi, Georgia, saying, go to movie theaters because we need to keep them alive. They are under threat by our convenience. Convenience kills. And our convenience of just downloading or just streaming stuff is really killing the movie theater experience. And it's gotten people out of that habit, and it's bad. So this is your job. Find a movie or 2 this summer to go to. And there's some good ones coming up. So, from Tbilisi, this is Burns saying, Droebi. Temporarily. We will meet again.
When I go, I want you to give me 5 minutes. I told you, boys, I'm no escape artist. For the first time, I like the odds.
At the round earth's imagined corners, blow your trumpets, angels, and arise from death, you numberless infinities of souls.
We're going to devote our energies to sports and gardening, all the cultural pursuits as far as they're concerned. In fact, we're going to put the goons to sleep. Meanwhile, we dig.
I've got to keep in some sort of touch with all the loose ends of this dizzy affair if I'm ever going to make heads or tails of it.
Greetings and welcome to my Patreon page. This is Burn Power coming to you from Tbilisi, Georgia, which you really should look up on a map. If you haven't, it is not in the United States of America. Well, guess what? Some of you may know I have 5 different YouTube channels. I have a Substack page. I've got 2 different channels that are for my writings, The Anadromist Life and Gravity from Above. And this channel here is going to be for all of them. One site to rule them all.